What if I told you that the ancient Greeks believed the sun was a god driving a fiery chariot across the sky, or that the Norse thought the world was held together by a giant tree? Myths like these aren't just stories, they're windows into how ancient civilizations made sense of the world around them. And today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of mythology to uncover 25 mind-blowing facts that most people have never heard of. From gods and monsters to epic tales of heroism and tragedy, these myths have shaped cultures, inspired art, and even influenced the way we think today. So, if you're ready to explore the hidden corners of ancient legends and discover secrets that have been passed down for thousands of years, stick around. By the end of this video, you'll see mythology in a whole new light and maybe even find yourself wondering what other incredible stories are waiting to be uncovered. Let's get started. Now turning to the very roots of mythology, let's explore how it all began. Mythology wasn't just a collection of fantastical stories. It was the ancient world's way of making sense of the unknown. Imagine living thousands of years ago, surrounded by natural phenomena you couldn't explain. Why did the sun rise and set? What caused thunderstorms or earthquakes? Without the science we have today, ancient civilizations turned to storytelling to answer these questions. Myths became their way of understanding the world, explaining everything from the changing seasons to the mysteries of life and death. Some of the earliest myths come from Mesopotamia and Egypt, two of the world's oldest civilizations. In Mesopotamia, the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest recorded stories, tells of a king's quest for immortality and explores themes of friendship, loss, and the human condition. Meanwhile, in ancient Egypt, myths like the story of Ra, the sun god, explain the daily journey of the sun across the sky. These early myths didn't just entertain, they laid the groundwork for the rich tapestry of mythology that would follow in cultures around the world. What's fascinating is how these stories reflect the values, fears, and aspirations of the people who told them. For example, Mesopotamian myths often dealt with themes of survival and the struggle against chaos, reflecting the harsh realities of life in a land prone to floods and droughts. Egyptian myths, on the other hand, often focused on the afterlife and the eternal cycle of life, mirroring their deep connection to the Nile and its predictable rhythms. These ancient myths weren't just isolated tales, they influenced each other and evolved over time, shaping the mythologies of later civilizations like the Greeks, Romans, and Norse. So, the next time you hear a myth about a god or a hero, remember that it's not just a story, it's a glimpse into how our ancestors tried to understand the world and their place in it. And with that, let's move forward to uncover even more fascinating facts about the myths that have shaped human history. Now turning to the oldest mythological texts, let's dive into the stories that have stood the test of time. Among these, the Epic of Gilgamesh holds a special place as one of the earliest recorded myths in human history. Written on clay tablets in ancient Mesopotamia over 4,000 years ago, this epic tells the tale of Gilgamesh, a powerful king who embarks on a quest for immortality after the death of his friend Enkidu. But this story is more than just an adventure. It's a profound exploration of human emotions, mortality, and the search for meaning in life. What makes the Epic of Gilgamesh so significant is how it reflects the values and fears of Mesopotamian society. In a world where life was often harsh and unpredictable, the story grapples with themes of loss, the inevitability of death, and the desire for eternal life. It also highlights the importance of friendship and the human connection, as Gilgamesh's bond with Enkidu transforms him from a tyrant into a compassionate leader. But Mesopotamia isn't the only ancient civilization with remarkable mythological texts. In Egypt, the pyramid texts inscribed on the walls of tombs are among the oldest religious writings in the world. These texts were meant to guide the pharaohs in the afterlife, reflecting the Egyptians' deep belief in the continuity of life beyond death. Similarly, the Rig Veda, an ancient Indian text, contains hymns and prayers that offer a glimpse into the spiritual and philosophical ideas of early Vedic culture. These ancient texts are more than just stories, they're windows into the minds of the people who created them. They reveal how early societies understood the world, their place in it, and the forces they believed governed their lives. By studying these myths, we gain insight into the universal human experiences that have shaped cultures across the globe. And with that, let's continue our journey to uncover even more fascinating facts about the myths that have captivated humanity for millennia. Now turning to the role of gods in mythology, let's explore how these divine figures were central to the beliefs and stories of ancient cultures. Gods and goddesses were more than just characters in myths, they were symbols of power, nature, and the very essence of human traits. They embodied the forces that shaped the world, from the storms in the sky to the emotions in the human heart. Take Zeus, for example, the king of the Greek gods. Known for his thunderbolt and his authority over the skies, Zeus represented not only the raw power of nature, but also the complexities of leadership and justice. He was a figure of both awe and fear, reminding mortals of their vulnerability in the face of divine will. Similarly, in Norse mythology, Odin, the All-Father, ruled over Asgard with wisdom and cunning. He was a god of war, poetry, and knowledge, often seeking wisdom at great personal cost, such as sacrificing his eye to drink from the well of Mimir. These gods weren't just distant rulers, they were deeply intertwined with the lives of their worshippers. In Greek mythology, Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare, was seen as a protector of heroes and cities, embodying the ideals of strategy and intellect. Meanwhile, in Egyptian mythology, Ra, the sun god, was believed to travel across the sky each day, bringing light and life to the world, only to face the dangers of the underworld each night. The roles of these gods often reflected the values and struggles of the societies that worshipped them. They were mirrors of human ambition, fear, and hope, offering explanations for the mysteries of existence and providing a sense of order in a chaotic world. Whether as creators, destroyers, or protectors, gods and goddesses were the heart of mythological storytelling, shaping the way ancient people understood their place in the universe. As we continue our exploration, we'll see how these divine figures influenced not only the myths of their time, but also the cultures and traditions that followed. Their stories remind us that mythology is more than just a collection of tales. It's a reflection of humanity's deepest questions and aspirations. Now turning to the world of mythological creatures, let's dive into the fascinating beings that have captured the imagination of countless generations. These creatures were more than just fantastical elements in stories. They were powerful symbols, representing everything from human fears and desires to the untamed forces of nature. Take dragons, for example. These legendary creatures appear in myths across the globe, from the fire-breathing beasts of European folklore to the wise, serpent-like dragons of East Asian traditions. In many cultures, dragons symbolized chaos and destruction, often serving as adversaries for heroes to conquer. Yet in others, they were revered as guardians of wisdom and prosperity, embodying the balance between power and harmony. Then there are griffins, the majestic hybrids of lions and eagles. These creatures were often seen as protectors of treasures and sacred spaces, combining the strength of the lion with the keen vision of the eagle. In ancient Persia and Greece, griffins were symbols of divine power and vigilance, standing as guardians against evil and corruption. And who could forget the chimera, a fearsome creature from Greek mythology with the body of a lion, the head of a goat, and a serpent for a tail. The chimera represented the unpredictable and chaotic aspects of nature, a reminder of the dangers that lurked in the unknown. Its very existence challenged heroes to confront their deepest fears and emerge victorious. These mythological creatures weren't just figments of imagination, they were reflections of the human experience. They embodied the fears of the unknown, the desire for protection, and the awe of nature's power. Whether as symbols of danger or guardians of sacred truths, these creatures played a vital role in shaping the myths and legends that continue to inspire us today. As we move forward, we'll see how these creatures, much like the gods, influenced the stories and cultures of ancient civilizations, leaving a legacy that still resonates in our modern world. Now turning to the concept of the underworld, let's explore how ancient civilizations imagined the realm of the dead. Across cultures, the underworld was more than just a place. It was a reflection of humanity's deepest questions about life, death, and what lies beyond. In Greek mythology, the underworld was ruled by Hades, a somber and mysterious figure. This realm, often referred to simply as the underworld or Hades, was a place where souls journeyed after death. It wasn't just a land of punishment, though. While the infamous fields of punishment awaited the wicked, the Elysian fields offered peace and bliss to the virtuous. The river Styx, guarded by the ferryman Charon, served as the boundary between the living and the dead, symbolizing the finality of death and the transition to the afterlife. In Norse mythology, the underworld was known as Hel, ruled by the goddess of the same name. This realm was a cold, shadowy place where those who did not die a heroic death in battle would reside. Unlike the fiery Christian concept of hell, hell was a neutral space, neither a place of torment nor paradise. It was simply where the majority of souls went, reflecting the Norse belief in fate and the inevitability of death. Meanwhile, warriors who died in combat were taken to Valhalla, a grand hall ruled by Odin where they prepared for the final battle of Ragnarok. The ancient Egyptians had their own unique vision of the afterlife centered around the Duat. This underworld was a complex and perilous realm where the soul of the deceased had to navigate a series of trials and challenges. Guided by spells from the Book of the Dead, the soul faced judgment before the god Osiris. If deemed worthy, they would enter the field of reeds, a paradise mirroring the beauty of life on earth. The Duat was not just a destination but a journey, symbolizing the eternal cycle of death and rebirth that was central to Egyptian beliefs. These underworlds were more than just stories, they were profound expressions of how ancient cultures grappled with the mysteries of death and the afterlife. Whether it was the Greek emphasis on justice, the Norse acceptance of fate, or the Egyptian focus on renewal, each underworld reflected the values and fears of the people who imagined it. As we continue, we'll see how these beliefs about the afterlife influenced rituals, art, and even the daily lives of ancient civilizations, shaping their understanding of existence itself. Now turning to the hero's journey, we uncover one of the most enduring and universal themes in mythology. Across cultures and time periods, the hero's journey has served as a blueprint for storytelling, reflecting humanity's deepest desires, struggles, and triumphs. At its core, this narrative structure follows a hero as they embark on an adventure, face trials, and ultimately return transformed. Take, for example, the Greek hero Hercules. His journey begins with a divine origin and a series of seemingly impossible tasks, the famous 12 labors. Each labor tests his strength, courage, and ingenuity, forcing him to confront both external monsters and internal doubts. Through these trials, Hercules grows not just in power but in wisdom, embodying the idea that true heroism requires both physical and moral strength. Similarly, the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest known stories, follows the titular king as he seeks immortality after the death of his friend Enkidu. Gilgamesh's journey takes him to the ends of the earth, where he learns that eternal life is not the answer to his grief. Instead, he discovers the value of human connection and the importance of leaving a lasting legacy. This story resonates deeply because it mirrors our own search for meaning in the face of loss and mortality. In Norse mythology, the tale of Beowulf offers another powerful example. Beowulf, a warrior of unmatched strength, travels to aid a kingdom plagued by the monster Grendel. His battles against Grendel, Grendel's mother, and later a dragon are not just physical confrontations but symbolic struggles against chaos and evil. Beowulf's journey highlights the ideals of bravery, loyalty, and sacrifice, showing how heroes often bear the weight of their community's hopes and fears. What makes the hero's journey so compelling is its universality. Whether it's Hercules, Gilgamesh, or Beowulf, these stories follow a similar pattern: a call to adventure, a series of trials, and a return with newfound wisdom. This structure reflects our own lives as we face challenges, grow through adversity, and seek to make sense of our experiences. As we move forward, we'll explore how these heroic tales not only entertained ancient audiences but also provided moral lessons and cultural values, shaping the way societies understood courage, resilience, and the human condition. Now turning to the role of women in mythology, we uncover a fascinating and complex tapestry of characters who embody strength, wisdom, tragedy, and transformation. Women in myths were not just passive figures but often central to the stories, shaping the destinies of gods, heroes, and entire civilizations. Take Athena, the Greek goddess of wisdom and warfare. Unlike many other deities, Athena was born fully armored from the head of Zeus, symbolizing her intellectual and strategic prowess. She was revered as a protector of cities, a patron of heroes like Odysseus, and a symbol of justice and reason. Athena's role highlights how ancient societies valued wisdom and leadership in women, even if they often placed them in supportive or advisory roles. On the other hand, figures like Medusa reveal a darker side of mythology's portrayal of women. Once a beautiful priestess, Medusa was transformed into a monstrous gorgon with snakes for hair, capable of turning anyone who looked at her into stone. While her story is often seen as a cautionary tale about vanity or divine punishment, it also reflects deeper fears and anxieties about female power and autonomy. Medusa's tragic fate serves as a reminder of how myths could be used to control or vilify women who defied societal norms. Then there's Pandora, whose story is both a warning and a reflection of ancient attitudes toward curiosity and blame. According to Greek myth, Pandora was the first woman created by the gods as a punishment for humanity. She was given a jar, often mistranslated as a box, containing all the evils of the world. When she opened it, these evils were unleashed, leaving only hope inside. While Pandora is often blamed for humanity's suffering, her story also raises questions about the role of curiosity and the consequences of divine manipulation. In Egyptian mythology, Isis stands out as a powerful and compassionate figure. As the goddess of magic, healing, and motherhood, Isis was revered for her ability to restore life and protect the vulnerable. Her devotion to her husband Osiris and her son Horus made her a symbol of loyalty and resilience, embodying the ideals of family and divine power. Isis's influence extended beyond Egypt as her worship spread across the ancient world, highlighting her universal appeal. These stories of women in mythology, whether as goddesses, monsters, or mortal figures, reflect the complexities of ancient societies. They reveal how women were seen as both powerful and dangerous, wise and vulnerable, sacred and flawed. Through these myths, we gain insight into the values, fears, and aspirations of the cultures that created them, offering a window into how women's roles were understood and portrayed in the ancient world. As we continue, we'll explore how these mythological narratives not only shaped ancient beliefs, but also continue to influence our understanding of gender, power, and identity today. Now turning to the fascinating theme of flood myths, we find that stories of catastrophic deluges appear in cultures across the globe, from the ancient Near East to the Americas. These tales often share striking similarities, suggesting a universal human experience or a shared symbolic meaning. One of the most well-known flood stories is the biblical tale of Noah's Ark. According to the Book of Genesis, God decided to cleanse the earth of humanity's corruption by sending a great flood. Noah, a righteous man, was instructed to build an ark and save his family and pairs of every animal. After 40 days and nights of rain, the floodwaters receded and Noah's family repopulated the earth. This story has been interpreted as both a literal event and a metaphor for divine judgment and renewal. Similarly, the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest known works of literature, features a flood narrative. In this Mesopotamian epic, the god Enlil decides to destroy humanity with a flood. The hero Utnapishtim is warned by the god E and builds a massive boat to save his family, animals, and craftsmen. After the flood, Utnapishtim is granted immortality, and the story serves as a reflection on mortality and the relationship between humans and the divine. In Hindu mythology, the story of Manu also revolves around a great flood. Manu, a sage, is warned by the god Vishnu in the form of a fish about an impending deluge. Vishnu instructs Manu to build a boat and gather seeds and animals. After the flood, Manu becomes the progenitor of a new human race, symbolizing rebirth and the cyclical nature of existence. So why do flood myths appear in so many cultures? One possibility is that they reflect real historical events, such as massive floods caused by melting glaciers or rising sea levels at the end of the last ice age. These natural disasters would have left a lasting impression on early human societies, inspiring stories of survival and divine intervention. Another interpretation is that flood myths symbolize purification and renewal. Water, as a life-giving and destructive force, often represents both chaos and rebirth. By cleansing the world of its sins or imperfections, floods serve as a metaphor for starting anew, offering hope and the promise of a better future. These flood stories, whether rooted in historical events or symbolic meanings, reveal how ancient cultures grappled with the forces of nature and the mysteries of existence. They remind us of humanity's resilience and our enduring quest to understand the world around us. As we move forward, we'll explore how these ancient myths continue to shape our modern understanding of the world, connecting us to the timeless themes of survival, transformation, and renewal. Now turning to the enduring influence of mythology on modern culture, we see how ancient myths continue to inspire and shape our stories, art, and entertainment. These timeless tales, once told around campfires and carved into stone, now find new life in books, movies, and even video games, proving that their themes are as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago. One of the most prominent examples is the Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan. This wildly popular book series brings Greek mythology into the modern world, following the adventures of Percy Jackson, a demigod son of Poseidon. Through Percy's journey, readers are introduced to gods, monsters, and heroes from ancient Greece, all reimagined in a contemporary setting. The series not only entertains but also educates, sparking interest in mythology among younger audiences and showing how these ancient stories can be adapted to reflect modern struggles and values. Similarly, Marvel's Thor films have brought Norse mythology to the big screen, introducing audiences to figures like Odin, Loki, and the mighty Thor himself. While the movies take creative liberties with the original myths, they capture the essence of these characters and their epic struggles. Thor's journey from arrogance to humility, for example, mirrors the moral lessons found in many mythological tales. By blending ancient lore with modern storytelling, Marvel has made Norse mythology accessible and exciting for a global audience. Mythology's influence extends beyond literature and film. In art, we see references to mythological figures and themes in everything from classical paintings to modern street art. The story of Icarus, for instance, has inspired countless works that explore themes of ambition, hubris, and the human desire to reach new heights. Even in video games, mythology plays a central role. Games like God of War draw heavily from Greek and Norse myths, immersing players in worlds filled with gods, monsters, and epic quests. What makes mythology so enduring? perhaps it's the universal themes that resonate across time and cultures: love, betrayal, heroism, and the struggle between good and evil. These stories speak to the human experience, offering insights into our fears, desires, and aspirations. By reimagining these ancient tales, modern creators keep them alive, ensuring that they continue to inspire and captivate new generations. As we move forward, we'll explore how mythology has shaped our understanding of fate and destiny, delving into the powerful role these concepts play in both ancient and modern storytelling. Now turning to the concept of fate in mythology, we delve into one of the most profound and recurring themes across ancient cultures: the idea of fate, a predetermined course of events that even the gods could not escape, was central to many mythologies, shaping how people understood their lives and the world around them. In Greek mythology, the Fates, or Moirai, were three sisters who controlled the life thread of every mortal and immortal. Clotho spun the thread of life, Lachesis measured its length, and Atropos cut it, determining the moment of death. These figures embodied the inevitability of destiny, reminding both gods and humans that no one could outrun their fate. This belief in an unchangeable destiny influenced countless Greek myths, from the tragic tale of Oedipus, who unknowingly fulfilled a prophecy to kill his father and marry his mother, to the heroic struggles of Achilles, whose fate was sealed from birth. Similarly, in Norse mythology, the Norns played a crucial role in shaping the lives of gods and mortals alike. These three beings, Urd, Verdandi, and Skuld, resided at the base of Yggdrasil, the world tree where they wove the threads of fate. Unlike the Greek fates, the Norns were not entirely rigid. They could influence destiny but not always control it. This nuanced view of fate is reflected in the stories of Norse heroes like Sigurd and the tragic downfall of the god Balder, whose death was foretold yet still sent shockwaves through the cosmos. The concept of fate also appears in other mythologies, such as the Hindu idea of karma and the Egyptian belief in Maat, the cosmic order that governed both the natural and moral worlds. These beliefs underscored the idea that every action had consequences and that the universe operated according to a divine plan. So why did ancient cultures place such importance on fate? For one, it provided a sense of order in a chaotic world. By believing that their lives were part of a larger, predetermined design, people could find meaning in their struggles and accept the inevitability of death. Fate also served as a powerful storytelling device, creating tension and drama as characters grappled with their destinies. Whether it was the tragic inevitability of Oedipus's downfall or the heroic acceptance of Achilles' fate, these stories resonated deeply with audiences, offering both comfort and caution. As we continue, we'll explore how mythology used animals as powerful symbols, revealing how creatures like serpents, eagles, and lions became enduring representations of human traits and natural forces. Now turning to the symbolism of animals in mythology, we uncover how creatures of the natural world became powerful symbols in ancient stories, embodying human traits, divine qualities, and natural forces. Animals were more than just characters in myths. They were metaphors, teaching tools, and reflections of the cultures that revered or feared them. Take the serpent, for example. Across many mythologies, the serpent holds a dual role, representing both evil and wisdom. In Greek mythology, the serpent Python was a fearsome creature slain by Apollo, symbolizing the triumph of light over darkness. Yet, serpents were also associated with healing and rebirth, as seen in the rod of Asclepius, a symbol still used in medicine today. Similarly, in Hindu mythology, the serpent Shesha supports the god Vishnu, embodying cosmic balance and eternity. This duality shows how the serpent could be both a destroyer and a protector, a creature of chaos and renewal. The eagle, on the other hand, often symbolized power, divinity, and connection to the heavens. In Greek mythology, the eagle was the sacred bird of Zeus, carrying his thunderbolts and serving as a messenger between the gods and mortals. In Norse mythology, the eagle perched at the top of Yggdrasil, the world tree, representing wisdom and a higher perspective. Even in Native American traditions, the eagle was seen as a spiritual guide, embodying strength, courage, and a link to the divine. Lions, too, held a prominent place in mythology, often representing royalty, strength, and protection. In Egyptian mythology, the lioness goddess Sekhmet was a fierce protector of the pharaohs, while the Sphinx, a creature with the body of a lion and the head of a human, guarded sacred spaces and symbolized the balance of power and wisdom. In Mesopotamian myths, the lion was associated with the goddess Ishtar, representing both ferocity and maternal care. These animal symbols were not just decorative elements in myths, they carried deep cultural significance. They helped ancient people make sense of the world around them, explaining natural phenomena, human behavior, and even the mysteries of the divine. By attributing symbolic meanings to animals, myths provided a framework for understanding life's complexities, from the duality of good and evil to the pursuit of wisdom and power. As we move forward, we'll explore the mischievous and transformative role of tricksters in mythology, figures who challenged the status quo and brought both chaos and change to the world of gods and mortals. Now turning to the role of tricksters in mythology, we encounter some of the most fascinating and unpredictable figures in ancient stories. Tricksters are not just mischievous troublemakers, they are agents of change, challenging the established order and often revealing deeper truths about the world and human nature. These characters blur the lines between good and evil, using wit, cunning, and sometimes outright chaos to disrupt the status quo and force growth or transformation. Take Loki, for example, the infamous trickster of Norse mythology. Loki is a shapeshifter, a master of deception, and a constant source of trouble for the gods. While his actions often lead to chaos, like the death of the beloved god Bald, your Loki also plays a crucial role in the Norse pantheon. His schemes force the gods to confront their flaws and adapt to new challenges, making him a catalyst for change, even if his methods are unpredictable and often destructive. In African folklore, Anansi the spider is another iconic trickster. Known for his cleverness and resourcefulness, Anansi often outsmarts stronger and more powerful beings to achieve his goals. Through his stories, Anansi teaches important lessons about wit, perseverance, and the value of intelligence over brute strength. His tales are not just entertaining, they serve as moral lessons, encouraging listeners to think creatively and question authority. Similarly, in Native American mythology, Coyote is a trickster figure who embodies both wisdom and folly. Coyote's adventures often involve humorous mishaps and unexpected outcomes, but they also carry deeper meanings about the balance of life, the consequences of arrogance, and the importance of humility. Coyote's stories remind us that even in chaos, there is an opportunity for learning and growth. Tricksters like Loki, Anansi, and Coyote are more than just entertaining characters. They reflect the complexities of human nature. They challenge us to question norms, embrace change, and find humor in life's unpredictability. By disrupting the ordinary, tricksters reveal the extraordinary, reminding us that growth often comes from discomfort and that wisdom can emerge from the most unlikely sources. As we continue, we'll explore how mythology and astronomy are deeply intertwined, with ancient myths giving rise to the names and stories behind the stars and planets we know today. Now turning to the connection between mythology and astronomy, we find that the stars and planets above us are not just celestial bodies, they are storytellers carrying the legends of ancient cultures across the ages. The night sky has always been a canvas for human imagination, and many of the constellations and planets we know today are named after figures and tales from mythology, each with its own rich history and cultural significance. Take Orion, for example, one of the most recognizable constellations in the night sky. In Greek mythology, Orion was a mighty hunter known for his strength and skill. According to the myth, Orion was placed among the stars by Zeus after his death, either as a reward for his bravery or as a way to honor his memory. The the constellation's distinctive belt of 3 stars has made it a timeless symbol of adventure and heroism, inspiring countless stories and interpretations across cultures. Then there's Cassiopeia, a constellation named after a queen from Greek mythology. Cassiopeia was known for her beauty and her vanity. She boasted that she and her daughter Andromeda were more beautiful than the sea nymphs, the Nereids. This arrogance angered Poseidon, who sent a sea monster to punish her kingdom. To appease the god, Cassiopeia and her husband were forced to sacrifice their daughter, though she was eventually saved by the hero Perseus. As a reminder of her pride, Cassiopeia was placed in the sky, where she is often depicted as sitting on a throne, forever circling the celestial pole. Even the planets bear the names of mythological figures. Mars, the red planet, is named after the Roman god of war, known for his fierce and aggressive nature. In Roman mythology, Mars was not only a warrior but also a protector of Rome, symbolizing strength and courage. The planet's reddish hue, reminiscent of blood, made it a fitting namesake for the god of battle. Similarly, Venus, the brightest planet in the night sky, is named after the Roman goddess of love and beauty, reflecting its luminous and captivating appearance. These celestial names are more than just labels, they are windows into the beliefs, values, and stories of ancient civilizations. By naming the stars and planets after their gods, heroes, and legends, these cultures immortalized their myths in the heavens, ensuring that their stories will be told for generations to come. The night sky, then, is not just a map of the cosmos, it is a tapestry of human imagination, woven with the threads of mythology. As we move forward, we'll explore how myths were integral to ancient rituals and ceremonies, shaping the spiritual and cultural practices of societies across the globe. Now turning to the role of mythology in ancient rituals, we find that myths were not just stories, they were the foundation of spiritual and cultural practices that shaped entire civilizations. These rituals often served as a bridge between the human and the divine, allowing people to connect with their gods, honor their ancestors, and make sense of the world around them. One of the most fascinating examples of this is the Eleusinian Mysteries, a series of secret religious rites held in ancient Greece. These ceremonies were dedicated to Demeter, the goddess of agriculture, and her daughter Persephone, who was abducted by Hades and taken to the underworld. The myth of Persephone's descent and return symbolized the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, mirroring the changing seasons. Participants in the Eleusinian Mysteries believed that by reenacting this myth, they could gain spiritual insight and a deeper understanding of the mysteries of existence. The rituals were so powerful that they were kept secret for centuries, with initiates sworn to silence under penalty of death. In ancient Egypt, the worship of Ra, the sun god, was central to daily life and religious practice. Ra was believed to travel across the sky in a solar boat during the day and through the underworld at night, battling the forces of chaos to ensure the sun would rise again. This myth was not just a story, it was a reflection of the Egyptians' understanding of the natural world and their place within it. Temples dedicated to Ra were designed to align with the sun's movements, and priests performed elaborate rituals to honor the god and ensure his continued journey. These ceremonies often involved offerings, prayers, and the recitation of sacred texts, all aimed at maintaining cosmic order and harmony. The myth of Ra was so deeply ingrained in Egyptian culture that even pharaohs were seen as his earthly representatives, tasked with upholding Mat, the principle of truth and balance. These examples show how myths were more than just tales, they were living, breathing elements of ancient societies woven into the fabric of daily life. Through rituals and ceremonies, people not only honored their gods but also reaffirmed their connection to the natural world and to each other. As we continue, we'll explore how myths evolved over time, adapting to new cultural and social contexts while retaining their timeless power to inspire and enlighten. Now turning to the evolution of myths over time, we see how these ancient stories were never static. They grew, shifted, and adapted as they traveled through generations and across cultures. Myths were living narratives, constantly reshaped to reflect the values, fears, and aspirations of the societies that told them. One striking example of this transformation is the Greek god Dionysus. Originally, Dionysus was a god of fertility and wine, associated with the wild, untamed forces of nature. In his earliest depictions, he was often portrayed as a mysterious, even fearsome figure, embodying the chaotic and unpredictable aspects of life. However, as Greek society evolved, so did the myth of Dionysus. Over time, he became a more complex and multifaceted deity, symbolizing not just revelry and excess, but also creativity, liberation, and even the mysteries of the afterlife. His worship expanded to include theatrical performances, where his followers would reenact his myths, blending art, spirituality, and community in ways that reflected the changing priorities of Greek culture. Another fascinating example comes from the Norse god Loki. In early Norse mythology, Loki was primarily a trickster figure, a mischievous but not entirely malevolent character who often caused trouble for the gods. However, as Norse society faced new challenges, including the spread of Christianity, Loki's role in the myths began to shift. He became increasingly associated with chaos and destruction, eventually being cast as a villain in the apocalyptic tale of Ragnarok. This transformation mirrored the anxieties of a society grappling with change and uncertainty, showing how myths could evolve to reflect the fears and struggles of their time. Even within a single culture, myths could take on new meanings as they were retold. For instance, the Hindu epic the Mahabharata has been reinterpreted countless times over the centuries, with each generation finding new relevance in its themes of duty, morality, and the complexities of human relationships. These reinterpretations often reflect the social and political concerns of the time, from debates about caste and justice to questions about leadership and power. The evolution of myths reminds us that these stories are not just relics of the past, they are dynamic, ever-changing narratives that continue to resonate with us today. As we move forward, we'll explore how myths have been used to explain natural disasters, revealing the deep connection between ancient storytelling and the forces of the natural world. Now turning to the role of mythology in explaining natural disasters, we see how ancient cultures turned to myths to make sense of the terrifying and unpredictable forces of nature. For people living in a world without modern science, earthquakes, volcanoes, and storms were not just natural phenomena, they were the actions of gods and supernatural beings. These myths provided a way to understand and even cope with the chaos of the natural world. Take, for example, the Greek god Poseidon, often called the Earth Shaker. In Greek mythology, Poseidon was not only the god of the sea, but also the deity responsible for earthquakes. When the ground trembled and buildings crumbled, it was believed that Poseidon was striking the earth with his mighty trident, unleashing his wrath or asserting his power. This myth not only explained the cause of earthquakes, but also reflected the Greeks' reverence for the sea and their fear of its unpredictable nature. Similarly, in Norse mythology, thunder and lightning were attributed to the god Thor, who wielded his hammer Mjolnir to create storms. The sound of thunder was said to be the echoes of Thor's hammer striking his enemies, while lightning was the sparks flying from the blows. For the Norse people, Thor's storms were both a source of awe and a reminder of the god's protective role, as he was believed to defend the world from giants and other threats. These myths helped people feel a sense of connection to the divine, even in the face of nature's fury. Volcanoes, too, found their place in mythology. In Hawaiian tradition, the goddess Pele was said to reside in the fiery depths of volcanoes. When a volcano erupted, it was believed that Pele was expressing her anger or sorrow, shaping the land with her molten tears. This myth not only explained volcanic activity, but also emphasized the sacredness of the land and the power of creation and destruction. These stories reveal how ancient cultures used mythology to personify natural disasters, turning them into narratives of divine intervention or cosmic struggle. By attributing these events to the actions of gods, people could find meaning in the chaos and even seek to appease the deities through rituals and offerings. As we continue, we'll explore how these mythological explanations have left their mark on language, shaping the way we talk about the world around us even today. Now turning to the influence of mythology on language, we find that the stories of gods, heroes, and mythical creatures have left a lasting imprint on the way we speak today. Many words and phrases we use in everyday conversation have their roots in ancient myths, showing just how deeply these stories have woven themselves into the fabric of our culture. Take, for example, the word narcissistic, which describes someone who is excessively self-absorbed. This term comes from the Greek myth of Narcissus, a young man who fell in love with his own reflection in a pool of water. Unable to tear himself away, he eventually wasted away and turned into the flower that bears his name. The story of Narcissus serves as a cautionary tale about vanity and self-obsession, and its legacy lives on in the word we use to describe such behavior. Similarly, the term Herculean is derived from the legendary labors of Hercules, the Greek hero known for his incredible strength and endurance. When we describe a task as Herculean, we're referring to something that requires extraordinary effort or determination, much like the 12 impossible challenges Hercules had to complete. This connection to mythology adds a layer of depth and imagery to our language, evoking the hero's legendary feats. Another example is the word echo, which comes from the myth of Echo, a nymph cursed by the goddess Hera to only repeat the words of others. Her story explains the natural phenomenon of echoes, but it also gives us a poetic way to describe repetition in speech or sound. Even the word panic has mythological origins stemming from the Greek god Pan, who is said to cause sudden, irrational fear in those who encountered him in the wilderness. These examples show how mythology has shaped not just our stories, but also the very words we use to describe the world around us. By drawing on these ancient tales, our language becomes richer and more vivid, connecting us to the timeless themes and characters of myth. As we move forward, we'll explore how these mythological influences extend beyond language, shaping moral codes and societal values in profound ways. Now turning to the role of mythology in shaping moral codes, we find that ancient myths were more than just entertaining stories. They were powerful tools for teaching important lessons about how to live a virtuous life. These tales often served as guides, illustrating the consequences of certain behaviors and reinforcing the values that held societies together. Through the triumphs and failures of their characters, myths conveyed timeless truths about bravery, loyalty, humility, and other virtues. Take, for example, the story of Icarus from Greek mythology. Icarus, the son of the master craftsman Daedalus, was given wings made of feathers and wax to escape imprisonment. His father warned him not to fly too close to the sun, but Icarus, overcome by excitement and pride, ignored the warning. As he soared higher, the wax melted and he fell into the sea. This tragic tale serves as a cautionary reminder about the dangers of hubris and the importance of heeding wise advice. It teaches us that overconfidence and recklessness can lead to downfall, a lesson that resonates just as strongly today as it did in ancient times. Another powerful example comes from the trials of Odysseus in Homer's epic, the Odyssey. Odysseus, the clever and resourceful hero, faces countless challenges on his journey home from the Trojan War. His story emphasizes the virtues of perseverance, loyalty, and cunning. Despite being tempted by distractions and obstacles, Odysseus remains steadfast in his commitment to return to his family. His loyalty to his wife, Penelope, and his determination to overcome every trial highlight the importance of staying true to one's values, even in the face of adversity. Myths like these were not just entertainment, they were moral compasses, guiding individuals and communities toward behaviors that were seen as essential for a harmonious society. By embedding these lessons in captivating stories, ancient cultures ensured that their values were passed down through generations, shaping the moral fabric of their civilizations. As we continue, we'll delve into the diverse creation myths across cultures, exploring how these narratives reflect the unique perspectives and beliefs of the societies that created them. Now turning to the concept of creation in mythology, we find that nearly every ancient culture has its own story about how the world and humanity came to be. These creation myths are not just fascinating tales, they reveal the deepest beliefs, values, and fears of the societies that crafted them. Let's explore a few of the most iconic creation stories and see how they reflect the unique perspectives of their cultures. In Greek mythology, the story begins with chaos, a vast, formless void from which the first beings emerged. From chaos came Gaia, the earth, and other primordial deities like Tartarus, the abyss, and Eros, the force of love and desire. Gaia then gave birth to Uranus, the sky, and together they created the Titans, who would later give rise to the Olympian gods. This narrative emphasizes the idea of order emerging from chaos, a theme that resonates with the Greek fascination with balance and harmony in the universe. In Norse mythology, the creation story is equally dramatic but takes a different tone. It begins with the primordial realm of Ginnungagap, a vast emptiness bordered by the fiery realm of Muspelheim and the icy realm of Niflheim. When fire and ice met in Ginnungagap, they created Ymir, the first giant, and Audhumla, the cosmic cow. From Ymir's body, the world was formed, his flesh became the earth, his blood the seas, and his bones the mountains. This myth reflects the Norse worldview, where creation is born from conflict and destruction, mirroring their harsh, rugged environment and their belief in the cyclical nature of life and death. Meanwhile, in Hindu mythology, creation is tied to the concept of Brahma, the creator god. According to the Puranas, the universe undergoes endless cycles of creation, preservation, and destruction, each presided over by the trinity of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. In one version of the story, Brahma emerges from a golden egg floating in the cosmic waters, and from his thoughts, the world and all living beings are born. This cyclical view of creation reflects the Hindu belief in the eternal nature of existence and the interconnectedness of all things. While these creation myths differ in their details, they share a common purpose: to explain the origins of the world and humanity in a way that reflects the values and beliefs of their cultures. Whether it's the Greek emphasis on order, the Norse focus on conflict, or the Hindu vision of cycles, each story offers a unique lens through which to understand the mysteries of existence. As we move forward, we'll explore how mythology played a role in ancient warfare, shaping the strategies and morale of warriors across cultures. Now turning to the role of mythology in warfare, we see how ancient myths were not just stories but powerful tools to inspire warriors and justify conflicts. Across cultures, myths provided a sense of purpose and divine backing, fueling the courage and determination of soldiers on the battlefield. In Norse mythology, the concept of Valhalla played a central role in shaping the mindset of Viking warriors. Valhalla, the Great Hall of Odin, was believed to be the afterlife destination for those who died bravely in battle. Warriors who earned a place in Valhalla would feast and fight alongside the gods until the final battle of Ragnarok. This belief instilled a fearless attitude in Norse fighters, as they saw death in combat not as an end but as a glorious transition to an eternal reward. The promise of Valhalla turned battles into opportunities for honor and immortality, driving warriors to fight with unmatched ferocity. Similarly, in Greek mythology, the idea of divine favor was a key motivator for soldiers. The Greeks believed that gods like Ares, the god of war, and Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare, could influence the outcome of battles. Warriors often sought the blessings of these deities through prayers, sacrifices, and rituals before heading into combat. Stories of heroes like Achilles, who was said to be invincible except for his heel, reinforced the belief that divine intervention could tip the scales in their favor. This connection between the gods and warfare gave Greek soldiers a sense of confidence and purpose, knowing they were fighting not just for their city-states but with the backing of the divine. In Hindu mythology, the epic Mahabharata provides a profound example of how myths shaped the ethics and strategies of warfare. The Bhagavad Gita, a sacred text within the Mahabharata, features a dialogue between the warrior Arjuna and the god Krishna, who serves as his charioteer. As Arjuna hesitates to fight against his own relatives, Krishna teaches him about dharma, or duty, and the importance of fulfilling one's role in the cosmic order. This myth not only justified the necessity of war, but also provided a moral framework for warriors, emphasizing the balance between duty, righteousness, and the consequences of one's actions. These mythological narratives were more than just tales. They were deeply ingrained in the cultural fabric of ancient societies, shaping how warriors approached battle and how leaders justified their campaigns. By linking warfare to divine will and cosmic order, myths gave soldiers a sense of meaning and direction, turning the chaos of battle into a sacred endeavor. As we move forward, we'll explore how mythological themes influenced ancient architecture, leaving a lasting legacy in the structures and symbols of the past. Now turning to the influence of mythology on architecture, we see how ancient myths left an indelible mark on the design and purpose of some of the world's most iconic structures. These buildings were not just feats of engineering, but also powerful expressions of cultural and spiritual beliefs, deeply rooted in the myths of their time. Take the Parthenon in Athens, for example. This magnificent temple, dedicated to the goddess Athena, stands as a testament to the central role of mythology in Greek society. Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare, was the patron deity of Athens, and the Parthenon was built to honor her. The temple's intricate sculptures and friezes depict scenes from Greek mythology, including the birth of Athena and her victory over Poseidon in the contest for the city's patronage. Every detail of the Parthenon, from its proportions to its decorations, was designed to reflect the ideals of harmony, order, and divine favor concepts deeply embedded in Greek myths. The building itself became a symbol of Athens' cultural and spiritual identity, a physical manifestation of its connection to the gods. Similarly, the pyramids of Egypt are steeped in mythological significance. These monumental structures were not just tombs for pharaohs, but also gateways to the afterlife, reflecting the Egyptians' beliefs about death and rebirth. The pyramid's shape, with its pointed apex reaching toward the heavens, symbolized the pharaoh's journey to join the sun god Ra in the sky. The interior walls of the pyramids were often adorned with hieroglyphs and paintings depicting myths about the gods and the pharaoh's divine lineage. These stories served as a guide for the deceased, ensuring their safe passage to the afterlife and their transformation into a divine being. The pyramids, therefore, were not just architectural marvels, but also sacred spaces where myth and reality intertwined. In India, the temples of Khajuraho offer another striking example of mythology's influence on architecture. These temples, built between the 9th and 11th centuries, are adorned with intricate carvings that depict scenes from Hindu mythology, including the exploits of gods like Vishnu, Shiva, and Krishna. The temple's design reflects the Hindu concept of the cosmos, with the central spire representing Mount Meru, the mythical axis of the universe. Each sculpture and carving tells a story, bringing the myths to life and creating a space where worshippers could connect with the divine. The temples of Khajuraho are not just places of worship, but also visual narratives of the myths that shaped Hindu culture. These examples show how mythology was woven into the very fabric of ancient architecture, transforming stone and mortar into symbols of faith, power, and identity. By exploring these structures, we gain a deeper understanding of how myths shaped not just the beliefs, but also the physical landscapes of ancient civilizations. As we continue, we'll delve into the role of mythology in healing and medicine, uncovering how myths influenced ancient practices of health and well-being. Now turning to the role of mythology in healing and medicine, we uncover how ancient myths were deeply intertwined with practices aimed at restoring health and well-being. In many cultures, myths provided not only explanations for illness but also frameworks for healing, blending the spiritual with the physical in ways that shaped entire medical traditions. In ancient Greece, the god Asclepius was central to the practice of medicine. Revered as the god of healing, Asclepius was believed to possess the power to cure diseases and even bring the dead back to life. Temples dedicated to him, known as Asclepians, served as both places of worship and early medical centers. Patients would visit these temples to sleep in sacred spaces, where they believed Asclepius would visit them in dreams, offering diagnoses and cures. These practices, known as incubation, combined faith with early forms of psychotherapy, as the dreams were interpreted by priests who prescribed treatments based on the visions. The serpent, a symbol of Asclepius, was also associated with healing and renewal, further emphasizing the connection between myth and medicine. Similarly, in ancient Egypt, mythology played a crucial role in medical practices. The Egyptians believed that illness could be caused by supernatural forces, such as the wrath of the gods or the influence of evil spirits. To combat these ailments, they relied on a combination of practical treatments and magical rituals. Amulets, often inscribed with prayers or symbols of protective deities like Isis or Horus, were worn to ward off disease and bring healing. The famous Ebers papyrus, one of the oldest medical texts in existence, includes not only remedies for physical ailments but also spells and incantations invoking the gods. This blending of science and spirituality highlights how myths provided a framework for understanding and addressing health in ways that transcended the purely physical. In Hindu mythology, the god Dhanvantari is revered as the divine physician and the father of Ayurveda, an ancient system of medicine still practiced today. According to myth, Dhanvantari emerged from the cosmic ocean during the churning of the milk, holding a pot of Amrita, the nectar of immortality. This story underscores the belief in the divine origins of healing knowledge. Ayurveda, which emphasizes balance between the body, mind, and spirit, is deeply rooted in mythological concepts of harmony and cosmic order. The use of herbs, meditation, and rituals in Ayurvedic medicine reflects the integration of myth into holistic health practices. These examples reveal how mythology provided ancient societies with a way to understand and address the mysteries of health and illness. By blending the spiritual with the practical, myths offered not only explanations but also hope and methods for healing. As we move forward, we'll explore how mythology shaped ancient views on love and relationships, uncovering the timeless stories that continue to resonate with us today. Now turning to the role of mythology in love and relationships, we find that ancient myths often served as profound explorations of human emotions, desires, and the complexities of romantic connections. These stories not only entertained but also reflected the values, ideals, and challenges surrounding love and marriage in ancient societies. One of the most enduring tales is the story of Cupid and Psyche from Roman mythology. Psyche, a mortal woman of extraordinary beauty, incurs the jealousy of Venus, the goddess of love. Venus sends her son, Cupid, to make Psyche fall in love with a monstrous being. However, Cupid himself falls in love with her and secretly becomes her husband, visiting her only at night under the condition that she never sees his face. When Psyche's curiosity gets the better of her, she lights a lamp to gaze upon him, causing Cupid to flee. What follows is a series of trials that Psyche must endure to prove her love and win back Cupid. This myth explores themes of trust, devotion, and the transformative power of love, illustrating how love often requires sacrifice and perseverance. It also reflects ancient ideas about the divine nature of love and the trials that come with it. Another poignant example is the tragic tale of Orpheus and Eurydice from Greek mythology. Orpheus, a gifted musician, falls deeply in love with Eurydice. When Eurydice dies from a snake bite, Orpheus is so heartbroken that he ventures into the underworld to bring her back. His music moves Hades, the god of the underworld, who agrees to let Eurydice return to the living world on one condition: Orpheus must not look back at her until they have both reached the surface. Tragically, Orpheus turns to look at Eurydice just before they exit the underworld, causing her to vanish forever. This story highlights the fragility of love and the human tendency to doubt, even in the face of divine promises. It also underscores the ancient belief in the power of love to transcend even death, while acknowledging its limitations in the mortal world. In Hindu mythology, the story of Radha and Krishna offers a different perspective on love. Radha, a cowherd girl, and Krishna, an incarnation of the god Vishnu, share a deep spiritual love that transcends the physical realm. Their relationship symbolizes the union of the human soul with the divine, emphasizing love as a path to spiritual enlightenment. This myth reflects the ancient Indian view of love as not merely a personal or romantic bond, but as a sacred connection that elevates the soul. These myths reveal how ancient cultures used storytelling to explore the joys, sorrows, and complexities of love and relationships. They provided frameworks for understanding human emotions and offered lessons about trust, sacrifice, and the enduring power of love. As we move forward, we'll delve into how mythology addressed the origins of humanity, uncovering the fascinating stories that ancient cultures told about the creation of humankind. Now turning to the role of mythology in explaining human origins, we find that ancient cultures crafted fascinating stories to answer one of humanity's most profound questions: where did we come from? These creation myths not only provided explanations for the existence of humankind, but also reflected the values, beliefs, and worldviews of the societies that told them. One of the most well-known creation stories comes from Greek mythology, where Prometheus, a titan, plays a pivotal role in the origin of humanity. According to the myth, Prometheus shaped the first humans out of clay and then defied the gods by stealing fire from Mount Olympus to give to them. This act of rebellion not only granted humans the ability to cook food, stay warm, and develop civilization, but also symbolized the gift of knowledge and progress. However, Prometheus paid a heavy price for his defiance, as Zeus punished him by chaining him to a rock where an eagle would feast on his liver every day for eternity. This myth highlights themes of sacrifice, the pursuit of knowledge, and the complex relationship between humans and the divine. It also reflects the ancient Greek belief in the importance of ingenuity and the consequences of challenging the gods. In Yoruba mythology, the story of Obatala offers a different perspective on human creation. Obatala, a deity associated with purity and creativity, was tasked by the supreme god Olodumare with creating the earth and its inhabitants. Using clay, Obatala carefully shaped the first humans, infusing them with life. However, during the process, Obatala became intoxicated from palm wine, leading to imperfections in some of his creations. This myth explains the diversity of humanity, including physical differences and disabilities, while emphasizing the idea that all humans are fundamentally connected through their shared origin. The story also underscores the Yoruba belief in the importance of balance, responsibility, and the consequences of human actions. Another intriguing creation myth comes from Norse mythology, where the first humans, Ask and Embla, were created by the gods Odin, Vili, and Ve. According to the myth, the gods found two pieces of wood on a beach and breathed life into them, transforming them into the first man and woman. Ask and Embla were then given the gifts of thought, speech, and emotion, allowing them to thrive and populate the world. This story reflects the Norse belief in the divine origins of humanity and the idea that humans are endowed with unique qualities that set them apart from other creatures. These creation myths reveal how ancient cultures used storytelling to explore the origins of humanity and their place in the universe. They provided explanations for the mysteries of existence while offering insights into the values and beliefs of the societies that created them. As we move forward, we'll reflect on the enduring legacy of mythology and why these ancient stories continue to captivate us today. Now turning to the enduring legacy of mythology, it's remarkable how these ancient stories continue to resonate with us even in our modern world. Myths are more than just tales from the past, they are windows into the human experience, offering timeless themes and universal truths that transcend cultures and generations. Whether it's the hero's journey, the struggle between good and evil, or the quest for meaning, these narratives speak to something deep within us, connecting us to our ancestors and to each other. One reason mythology remains so captivating is its ability to adapt and evolve. While the stories themselves may be ancient, their themes are endlessly relevant. Take, for example, the way modern storytelling draws from mythological archetypes. Characters like Luke Skywalker from Star Wars or Katniss Everdeen from The Hunger Games follow the classic hero's journey, mirroring the trials and triumphs of figures like Hercules or Odysseus. Even in psychology, Carl Jung's concept of the collective unconscious suggests that myths tap into universal symbols and patterns that are ingrained in the human psyche. These stories help us make sense of our own lives, offering guidance, inspiration, and a sense of shared identity. Mythology also continues to shape our understanding of the world. In literature, films, and even video games, mythological themes are used to explore complex ideas about morality, destiny, and the human condition. For instance, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has brought Norse mythology to life through characters like Thor and Loki, introducing ancient gods to a new generation while exploring themes of power, family, and redemption. Similarly, the Percy Jackson series has made Greek mythology accessible to young readers, sparking curiosity and imagination. But perhaps the most profound aspect of mythology's legacy is its ability to connect us to our past. These stories remind us of where we've come from and the values that have shaped human civilization. They teach us about courage, resilience, and the importance of community. At the same time, they challenge us to reflect on our own beliefs and actions, encouraging us to learn from the triumphs and mistakes of those who came before us. As we conclude our journey through these 25 mind-blowing facts about mythology, it's clear that these ancient stories are far from being relics of the past. They are living, breathing narratives that continue to inspire, educate, and unite us. Whether through books, movies, or the stories we tell around the campfire, mythology remains a powerful force in our lives, reminding us of the enduring power of storytelling and the timeless truths that bind us all. So, what's your favorite mythological story? Share it in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more fascinating explorations into the world of mythology. Thanks for watching. Now turning to the conclusion of our journey through these 25 mind-blowing facts about mythology, it's clear just how deeply these ancient stories have shaped our understanding of the world. From the origins of mythology as a way to explain natural phenomena to the enduring influence of mythological themes in modern culture, each fact has revealed a unique layer of human creativity, belief, and imagination. We've explored the roles of gods and goddesses, the symbolism of mythological creatures, and the universal themes of the hero's journey and the underworld. We've seen how myths have been used to explain natural disasters, shape moral codes, and even influence architecture and language. These stories are not just relics of the past. They are living narratives that continue to inspire, challenge, and connect us. As we reflect on these facts, it's fascinating to see how mythology bridges the gap between ancient and modern worlds. Whether it's through the flood myth shared across cultures, the trickster figures who disrupt and transform, or the celestial connections between myths and astronomy, these stories remind us of our shared humanity. They teach us about resilience, courage, and the power of storytelling to make sense of the world around us. And as we've seen, mythology's influence is everywhere, from the names of planets and constellations to the moral lessons embedded in our favorite books and movies. So, what's your favorite mythological story? Is it the epic adventures of Hercules, the tragic love of Orpheus and Eurydice, or perhaps the cunning tricks of Loki? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear which myths resonate with you the most. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of mythology, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more fascinating explorations into history, culture, and the stories that shape our world. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep exploring the timeless tales that connect us all.